The following episode may contain spoilers for the game Frosthaven. Welcome to episode 16 of our board game podcast, A Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. I'm your host, Detty, the one and only dirtiest dirtbag in all the land, and I'm glad to be back in the driver's seat once again as I steer us towards audible victory. And joining me, as always, my trusty co-pilot, a man who is voted by the people as the third sexiest man on this podcast, Gaz. Say hi, Gaz.
Hi, guys. Well, you know what? Chewbacca's the co-pilot, so I'm going to be fine with that. I'll be the guaranteed co-pilot. He survives as well. Yeah, Chewbacca's a co-pilot, right?
Yeah, but he's not. I thought you were going to ask why third. Like, who else is there? And I'll be like, well, I have to save the second spot, obviously second, for I don't know, Isaac when he jumps on, or you know, one of those.
No,
other
well,
people.
I'm not going to feed your trolling.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ignore it and let it go.
I plan things to happen a certain way, and then I just don't get the result from you. But that's okay.
Yeah, well, you take everything as a compliment. So I'm just hearing that going third. That's pretty good. Sorry.
Can we say Chewbacca? Or we're gonna get in trouble?
We're going to get sued by Disney. Yeah. So you're going to have to bleep out the profanity and Chewbacca.
Or just the Chewbacca.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So we're back to playing and recording schedule for now. Apologies for the change in sound. I think last week I was told by Gaz anyway, and then I went and played it in my car when I was driving to work, and we actually did sound a little bit quieter, which I didn't notice when I was editing because I've just got some new equipment. So it's teething at the moment, but I'm hoping everything is sort of getting better. We actually ran out of public holidays, which is super sad, but I'm thinking if we, the people, get up around it, we might be able to make a National Frosthaven Day, which will be on a Monday. And
every
I think,
Monday.
Yeah, every single month. Every single Monday will be National Frosthaven Day, and we'll have a public holiday around that. Some other sad news: our Bone Shaper, my partner Calvin, has actually stopped due to work requirements and just timing and all of that kind of stuff. As people would have seen, we've been running as 3 every now and then 4. So unfortunately, he is hanging up the skeletons for the time being, and we are in the process of just trying to work out. In fact, we're meant to ask Phil because we might actually have a 4th coming into the party, and not too sure how we're going to deal with that at the moment. But if that's not the case, I mean, we're fine with 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should do interviews, and then we can
next top model style.
Yeah, that's it. So you got to come in, you got to pick a class, you got to play one time. You got to see how you mesh with the group, see how much loot you take. We'll
give
throw you
everyone
some
a hand
questions.
Of cards and actually set up a mock scenario. And there's you in the corner, and there's me, and then there's Phil. And it's kind of like, cool, you got a heal card. What do you do with it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. You're right, we could know what's in their deck, know the situation we've created and see how they react, and then be like, oh, that was a bit selfish, or I don't know, they drew a lot of -1s, so it doesn't seem like we want this kind of person on our team.
If they miss a lot, they're in.
So they can steal the title off you.
Well, just M-Dirt, yeah?
Yeah.
And then lastly, did Detty retire? So on today's show, we cover scenario 10. So we've kind of gone back to like the beginning quest line.
Yeah, we're back on track.
Yeah.
It's like in that RPG where you walk into the town and like Baldur's Gate, and there's like a million question marks and quests come at you, and they say, go talk to the Lord. And you're like, okay, first I'm going to get distracted with this entire labyrinth of side quests, take over the Thieves Guild, save the entire village from outside the town from everything. And then you come back and like, oh yeah, that's right, there was a quest we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, the level 4 quest.
Yeah,
we're all
that's
level
it.
60.
It's all grey. Yep.
The grey. Let's get some grey XP. We took a sled, the one we made ages ago, and did other things with it. And we started to go back towards Algox world, is it?
Yep. Yeah, it's like Disney World, but just full of Algoxes.
And away from Snow Imp Land?
Wow. I mean, we don't know, right? Because snow imps are everywhere.
So far, yes. Yeah, what a doozy that Snow Imp Land was. We have our first outpost phase in wintertime, and we're going to have a quick discussion about Scenario 10 after we've done it. And I've also got a little segment towards the end about some wonderful Amdirt mail that we've received and some of the community and just, yeah, bit of conversation there.
Dirtbag. Dirtbag.
Dirtbag.
Dirtbag.
Okay, I
Yeah.
like it. I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, without going into it too much, I'm already dreading winter after one outpost event. It's terrible, and everything's going to burn.
Yeah. Well, it was brought to my attention that when we were grabbing the road event, I pulled out a normal one, only to get told, no, I'm pretty sure we're in a winter one right now. And then it was debating of when is winter officially in yet? Is it when we fill in the first box? Is it when it was uncovered? And then we just were like, I reckon we're in winter. And then Phil was like, oh, we had that big event where the doors are closing and we're looking to stay here. So we had our road event, and Gaz is about to tell us what it was.
The road event, and as per usual, why I 100% remember exactly what it is.
Okay.
But I actually do this time.
Oh.
I don't want to say too much, but we met a dude. He was looking for a dude. We forgot that we had seen the dude.
You're reading the notes that I wrote, like exactly word for word.
No, these are my notes that I made because I remembered today. I was like, road event. I'm gonna mix things up a bit and remember.
Yeah.
And and it was a pretty uneventful outcome in the end of it from what we did, but I feel like we did the right thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because it played off an earlier event that we had quite a long time ago, and memories were a little bit hazy, and they kind of connect together, like the two events, because this one was a summer event, and then you got a winter event, and they tied together. So once you do the summer one, you might see the other one later, which we did, and it's kind of like we've just noped our way out of both.
Yeah, what was weird about it, and is like this is just a logistics perspective, is that we had to remember. So again, with this is going to sound really vague, but we know exactly what we're talking about. But it was basically we met someone who asked if we'd met someone, and we were like, "Oh no, we totally haven't." And then we're like, "Wait, hang on." Someone I think afterwards was like, "Wait, maybe we have." And we checked back through the discarded road events that we did, and it was like the first or second road event that we did at the start. And we're like, "Oh yeah, this is that guy." So it was a weird one because if we hadn't thought of that, then we would have just been like, "Totally, we haven't." Like we're lying, but we didn't know we were lying. So
we role played really well because we forgot. So the guy was like, "Have you seen this guy?" And we're like, "No."
Yeah,
it's fine.
So
and it's like, oh, "Okay,
yeah,"
and that was it.
That was it. So no, it was a bit interesting, and I feel like that's where some kind of mark or a sticker or like they've got stickers for some of the events, but something kind of like write this person's name down, almost like an area on your party sheet to people that you've met. I don't know.
I like it. I like the idea behind it. We didn't get much from it, but I'd be curious to see kind of what it all led to. And if there's more of this, maybe we'll pay a little bit more attention. Although, to be fair, we struggled to even remember the road event after a couple of days,
let alone
months ago. But yeah, so we did that event. And like Gaz says, it was uneventful. And then we slid our way into Ice Speaker territory. So I believe this is with the two dudes that were fighting. They were part of the different clans, right? Because it's such a long time ago since we were doing this kind of chain.
Yeah, Snowflake and Ice Fist.
Yeah, Fist Flake. And
yeah, this is the Fist land. Yeah. The land of the Fisty.
Okay. With, the sled and our canines. And
are these ones wolves?
Yep, they are.
Okay.
And there were the angry Algox everywhere. But we came across a bunch of Algox, and they weren't quite normal. They were actually kind of hulking up a little bit because they were actually sapping power from ice pillars. And we've never seen those before. Yeah. It's another pillar one because we're all about the pillars. Pillars and Snow Imp so far has been the majority of the Frosthaven journey.
Yeah, there's a lot of pillars.
There are. Well, they gave us all those miniature, those standees that I turned into standing standees, and now I've been lying them down because they always have an objective on them that needs to be tracked.
Well, this is the first time that they actually did have an objective, and you didn't put them on standees.
Yeah, because we need to put the letters and the numbers on them to track which ones are which when we're tracking the health.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I've been lying them down so I can put the numbers on them.
I see.
So these guys are sucking the power out of these ice pillars, and it's buffing them up and giving them, well, they're giving them crazy defense from a ridiculous range. And we get to suck on some ice pillars, and when we beat up the ice pillars or beat up these dudes, we get the buff, right? That's how it works. Now
That's it. Then we can conquer and be the ice fist.
Yeah, no. So scenario 10. Scenario is complete. This is the goal. When all monsters in it are dead. Easy GG, right? It's refreshing, right?
Well, it is, and I want to talk a little bit about this one because I think we've talked for a few weeks over complex scenarios, like palette cleanser scenarios that are just kill everything or move from A to B. We brought up a couple of weeks ago the conversations that are kind of more broadly going on in the community about, is it too complex or is it just consistently like too much going on? So this one for me is a kill all enemies, and it was the exact balance I'm looking for when it comes to a scenario with that objective. Because I think one of the things that we maybe started to overlook is that, and we both said it a couple of times, is you don't want every scenario just to be kill all enemies, right? Because that gets boring. The difference is, or the nuance, is that how does the scenario get in your way when you're attempting to do that, right? And I think this one was a perfect example where if you remove all these pillars, right, this scenario is probably very boring. It's just a bunch of monsters in one room, and then you go into the next room and there's a bunch of monsters in the next room. But because of that one thing with these pillars, and they're providing shields to the enemies, it made interesting decisions, right? Do we hit the pillar? Is it worth hitting the pillar? I'm only going to do 3 or 4 damage, so therefore it's not worth hitting something with 3 or 4 shields. And I think it changed the scenario or what we wanted to do enough that you had some tricky decisions to make, but you got to play your character. I think this is the thing, and we've talked about this, is sometimes the rules of a scenario can mean that you don't get to do that. So, that was kind of where I landed on it from it sounds simple, but what did you think?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you 1 billion% regarding the differences in the scenario makeup that we've had from the complexity level to a plainly kill all enemies, which we haven't seen in a long time. Not like this, and like you said, with the structure of the way they put the mob variety. Because I'm going to talk a little bit about my second most hated monster that I've come across that, despite seeing very early in our experiences in our campaign, have not really been something I've thought about. And when I saw them again this time, it was just like, holy crap. So when you put in, that monster, it's like kill all the monsters, but here is the monsters that are going to potentially mess you up, and you can't also go for them because of the secondary optional scenario, which is to deal with the pillars, right?
Yeah.
So I'm liking exactly where you're at regarding how much I think this is striking the right balance and giving us exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah. Well, why don't you go through exactly what those differences were for people that maybe not have played it or maybe played it a while ago and couldn't remember. So then we can talk a little bit about the monster types and how that interacted.
Yeah, of course. So the very beginning, we've got a standard kind of tile, all right? And there are 3 guys on there, so we get to see our Algox guards, which are your big heavy hitting, 16, 19 health when they're elite. Hard hitting guys, okay? That's it. There's one of those, and then we've got 2 normal priests in the room with us, Algox priests. And behind them, there are the 3 pillars. Now, the special rules for this scenario is that these pillars have a range aura that basically buffs the defenses of each friendly unit to them, so all the enemies for us, their defenses by 1. So they all get 1 shield, right? And the priests already have an innate 1 shield. So there are 3 pillars in this room. Very first thing we see in this room is the 4 shields on all the creatures we need to fight. And I think we even had a discussion about how exactly we were going to tackle that, because kind of oh, I've got Pierce as the drifter over here, and he can go in there and deal with that. And, do we deal with the pillars or not?
Yeah, and I mean that starter room wasn't all that scary though. Like, isn't it 2 Algox and a priest?
Well, the
Was that
second,
it?
yeah, the second we set that up,
Yeah.
we look at it and we're like, okay, we'll make short work of this room.
Yeah, like it did. It definitely felt like the analogy I used before about kind of going off and doing all these side questing and coming back to the main quest. It definitely felt like, okay, well we're back to vanilla Frosthaven, the one that we were probably supposed to do 10 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which the game assumes you were going to do after you finish the other ones, right? But then it just took ages.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this room literally took us we opened the second room by round 7 as a snapshot. 3 enemies. Technically 6. But the pillars don't have, shield or anything like that. They're only buffing monsters. And what we have to do is deal with the pillars and then deal with the guys. So at the very beginning, I think we had our standard prep round. You did this amazing prep that I've never seen before. I think it's you muddled yourself, poisoned yourself, and cursed yourself, which was really cool.
that was a good first turn.
Which was really, really interesting. So, and then you continued to give us crap for not doing anything after you did that.
I'm pretty sure I did a bunch of damage.
Oh, you definitely did. I just focused more on that. And then the fact that you made a comment at Phil and I while we're just putting our hands in our pockets. So the room should theoretically be easy. I'm going to walk up and tank the guards and maybe the priests, and you guys will deal with the pillars. These priests are up there with snow imps as horrendous. They've got 2 cards that go on an initiative of 8, right? One of them's a disarm and one of them is immobilize. And I got hit with an immobilize at the start. So I couldn't actually move to contribute to hitting pillars. And then I got hit with a disarm on the following round. In between that, getting crit multiple times.
Yeah, they really had a lot of lockdown, and that's what made things take ages. Like disarms, like stun, it just feels really bad. Like you basically, unless you play around it, you're right. I mean, you can still move and stuff like that, but I think for you, I remember it turning like a really big hit turn into just nothing.
I was going to move up to a pillar and hit it really hard with the sword and everything. That's 1 pillar down, and it messed that whole turn up, but I also lose the cards. But I can't play around it because he goes on an 8.
Well, look, I think Phil had a potion of remove a status effect thing, like that was like the first potion we ever saw, and he got rid of it because he was never using it. I feel like for big turns, having one of them up your sleeve is almost like maybe that's a thing that we got to start thinking about.
I agree with you. There was actually, I think it's a shield that you can tap it to prevent a status effect being received that I was planning on making. And I just kind of was like, oh, I can just tank status effects now, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
That's not how it worked. So round 2 and 3, I'm not going into every single round and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going through some notable things that happened. But round 2 and 3, for me, all right, because this was a really big thing. I wrote on my piece of paper, OMG, OMFG, OMG, this is BS. And I also wrote down Death gets hit for a +1. So this is what they drew. +1, +2, crit, wounded by Gaz, hit again hard, disarmed into crit again, OMFG, 2 HP. Oh, and now I discard. So
that was pretty rough.
Yeah, that was my start. So, look, we dealt with it, but easily, you look at any of the scenarios that we've done in the past with such a shockingly bad start where it just took forever and we were actually going through so many cards, you kind of go, we're going to be okay. Because we're only seeing the first room. We don't know how big this place is going to be. Is this going to be a restart?
Yeah, well, I think we were, even though it took a while, right? Like 7 rounds, 7 rounds or whatever it was to open the door and get through. I still feel like, I don't know, I didn't feel we were going badly. I just thought that it was like, oh, okay, well, that was a bit tougher than I thought. Or, we might have taken a little bit more damage than expected. But it wasn't like the start of that other room that I think where we had all those Yeti things turning into the bird things that just absolutely wrecked us. I feel like this was one was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let's just see what's in the next room, expecting maybe 2 or 3 more rooms, maybe a longer scenario could kind of wear us down.
What would you say, just feeling wise, would be a good par number for that first room of rounds?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, probably about 6. I reckon
Okay.
5 or 6.
Okay.
I reckon we're probably a little bit behind, and that's just purely because when you give anything 4 shields, right? Or the normal things had 3, and then the priest had 4. That's basically like take 4 less damage each hit.
Yeah. No,
Right. So
that makes sense. I think I'm looking at it from I had 2 rounds where I did nothing because I was
yeah,
immobilized. And then the second one I was disarmed. So in my head I was like, well, I'm not contributing to any of these pillars dropping or anything like
yeah,
that.
for sure. So I mean, I reckon if you don't get disarmed and immobilized, like if that doesn't stop you from having your turn, then we probably clear it a turn earlier, maybe 2, depending on how effective you are at getting rid of the pillars, right?
Mm.
So yeah, I reckon about 5 turns or so if you're doing it optimally.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we finished the room. I'm complaining the whole time. It was a rough start. My pad was literally filled with just profanity. And then we opened the doors and we got to see the second room. Now, thankfully, it was one just large room, and we weren't. I mean, it's an indicator that the rules for the pillars in the first room may play a role later on in the same scenario. And sure enough, there was, I think it was 5. Was it 4? I think
Yeah, I think about 5,
it was
4 or 5,
4.
4.
Yep. So it was 4. We had 4 pillars, and then we had more priests, more guards, and we had a new dude, the Algox no speaker, who wasn't a boss, but because there was only one and we hadn't seen it before, it was a freshie.
Hang on, was it Snowspeaker? No, the wasn't like a Ravager or something, wasn't it?
Um,
I thought the snow speakers we've seen, they're the ones that were in the pillar, the explosive room.
no, it says Algox ice speaker. My bad.
Ice speaker. There you go. Yeah. They
Ice
speak
speaker.
ice, not snow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
of course. How could I? Ugh, they hate that. Like when
Yeah.
you confuse
Yeah.
them.
Yep. So, and we also got sucked in to that room. That was the other thing that is again different because when we were clearing the first room, I think we were roughly like kind of coming to the last mob, and we thought, oh, should we clear some of these pillars, or should we just kill it? And I think we're like, yeah, we'll clear them because they've got a range of 4, or 5, whatever it was. So there's a chance we do a wave fight around here, and it'll just start buffing the things that are coming through. So
That's
okay,
right.
cool. But again, really well designed. It's like, nope, you're not in that room anymore. You're going to get sucked through, much like the one in the second room for the Prince fight, which we hadn't seen before. But yeah, here you go. Move everybody. As soon as these doors are open, move everybody to the front of this room. So we were now thrown into this really big room with a lot of monsters.
And 4 pillars. And these pillars at our difficulty have 7 health, which I'm feeling is an awkward number.
Yeah.
I've got a guaranteed 6, but just to squeeze that extra 1, I think it was an awkward number for everyone, really. So, yeah, just from those initial thoughts, it was kind of looking weird. Not too sure what's going on. Oh, wait, I'm disarmed again because that happened again as they started to close in. Phil was doing invisible stuff and skirting around the outsides. Phil was on pillar duty, right? I think we established that we know his spot and he's proving it time and time out as being, the assassin, right? There's a target on the field. He needs to get it. Not this turn, but soon.
Yeah,
He'll take him out.
I can totally take out these pillars in an amount of turns.
That's right. And I'm playing face tank with my face because I can't really move because I keep getting blocked and all that kind of stuff. And Gaz is flexing and doing a bit of both, keeping me alive every now and then, taking a hit for me because I was getting absolutely smashed in this scenario more so than I ever had before. In fact, Gaz planned to go in and really relieve me to let me top myself up by doing this super shield retaliate turn. And the guards pull their card and they go, oh, we can do that too.
Yeah, look, hey, samesies.
That's right.
Yep. I hadn't seen that before, and I'm like, okay, cool. I think I was on full health because I'd just been sitting on full health with regenerate. And I was like, great, I'm going to jump in there. I'm probably going to get like 5 of them. It's okay because I can give myself like 3 shield basically for the first like 4 attacks. Plus, I'll discard a couple of cards if I get hit real bad. Like, this will be fine because everything's going to take roughly about 4 retaliate damage, I reckon. So this is kind of going to AoE the room and just help us out. And because retaliate goes through shield. So it's just going to kind of, give Detty a bit of breathing space. And then half the mobs we're not attacking. I was like, whoa, this doesn't seem worth it now.
So you have to change that up. And how effective, like from a value point of view, like out of stars, out of 5, it's a 5-star play. How much do you have to change it, and how much does it drop?
I didn't
Because
do
you're obviously
anything.
not. So you're not shield reading, but then you're using the other options on the cards to do other things.
Yeah, the cards are weird though because it's I think like the bottom of the ret card is like an attack, so you can't move with it. So
Oh.
and because half of my well not half, 90% of my cards, one half of the card is a burn. It makes it really tricky in a turn to go, I'm going to switch things around because you can kind of go from I'm going to move an attack or I'm going to do something to, I'll do the opposite and then I'll burn 2 cards.
Mm.
Right? And you're like, oh, I didn't really plan on burning a card in this situation. Or unless it lines up and it's really optimal, it can be tricky. So I think I just jumped in. I think I did the same thing. I just didn't do the retaliate because it's a lost. So
Yeah.
it was a bit tricky.
Yeah. Okay. So we plan to move over. You and I were planning on running away from the main group because they were kind of swarming us, and we ran off together while Phil was skirting them around the edges, doing a bit of invisible and a bit of pot shotting. Anyway, these new ice speakers that we're encountering for the first time had this thing where they could move 4, and then they could do a big cleave in front of them, the 4 tiles directly in front of them, which you and I were perfectly positioned next to.
And we worked up real well to it.
So we always do that. Amazing. And then the guards perfectly lined up so that they came over and hit me. And then we had the priest on the other side. So I went to take an absolute... Also, do you remember that round? When the guy cleaves, he hits me, he misses, but he brittles me.
Yep.
He hits you, he pulls a -2. And we're like, that wasn't too bad. Oh, wait, I'm brittled. And the guards are hitting for 5. And you pointing out, oh, you're about to take 15 damage.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
yep. If they draw zeros, you're taking 15 damage from 2 hits.
Yeah, I went from 16 health to like 1, and that was the round. I discarded 3 cards.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that turn, or maybe it was the turn after that the priests did something we hadn't seen either, which was like an attack 2 targets at range and curse. So, like we were the whole time, we're like, oh, don't draw your immobilize, don't draw your disarm, don't draw your heal, and they're like, oh, what about this one? Do you like this one? It's like, oh no, that's it. No, don't do that. So I think where they were sitting, they maximized their attack. So I think there was 2 priests. So we ended up with 4 curses collectively amongst all our decks, which later in the game became like really kind of buck-clenching, kind of like, oh, I know there are some curses in here.
Yeah, well, and then what didn't help was not only are we getting cursed, but they actually have bless. They do bless self. So the monster deck was also filling up with crits, which was just as fun.
Yeah, when things are attacking for 5, right? Like,
There was one round shortly after that. This is where things are getting towards the end of this scenario, okay? We're sort of starting to nail some pillars. We're not really doing a crazy amount of damage. Phil Baines, the ice speaker, after oohing and ahhing over it for about 3 rounds because of the priest potentially healing it off. And then he goes ahead and does it, and it works.
Yeah, so that was a big moment, right? Because the ice speaker was just going to pump out damage. And we looked at it and went like, okay, well, we can kill him with a Bane. Because I think he has about 12 life and took a couple of damage for some reason. So we were like, okay, that works. But we know that the priests have 2 heals, and one of them goes really early, right? One of them is like a super duper early. It heal everyone within range 1. So we're like, okay, that screws us. And so it was a big call. And that's when he threw the Bane out. We're like, okay, next turn, we just have to make sure this heal doesn't, and that kind of will buy us that breathing space. So yeah, that was really lucky.
No, it has paid off. His Banes have actually been good. They've been way better than his curses. I don't know if he's landed one yet.
Yeah, well, like I think in the first room, he attacked with a curse and then drew a rolling modifier curse as well. So it would have added 2 curses into the monster deck, but then killed it. And I think as part of that,
curse card has a +1 on it or something, and it just did enough damage.
He used his sword. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing an attack where I don't really want to kill this thing. I want to try to put curses in it because I know it's going to at least put 1 curse, but I'm going to buff the damage up. Right? That's like, yeah. So he murdered that thing. So those 2 curses would have been cool floating through the monster deck when we got to the next room.
No, I would have much appreciated that. Before he baned them, do you remember there was one round where we were all planning everything and it was getting hairy and we're trying to work things out. And we all draw our cards and our initiatives and all 3 of the monster types go before us.
Oh, we were like, okay. This is where we were kind of stacked up a bit. And we're like, all right, this is okay. We're fine with this. We're kind of a bit behind, but we've kind of got. I think I was next to 2 of them, and I was going to do an immobilize 2 jump away, right, and then do something. You were going to move away, so we're going to like neutralize those. Phil had baned the guy, so we just needed to make sure we weren't in range of him. So he was going to die after he had his turn. And they all went bang, bang, bang first. And so they got to just absolutely wreck us.
Yeah.
This dude walked up and like cleaved us and brittled us. And then the monsters were like, oh, hey, bye.
Yep.
Bye. So, yeah, it was like, wow, thanks, Monster Deck.
Absolutely terrifying. Towards the end, when things were pretty much in the last like round or 2, there was 2 rounds left or something. I think we were down to like 2 priests or something along those lines. And actually one of them, I think, was killing you. But before that happened, you played a card to give you retaliate. And then you had 1 health. And it did a reverse fill, I think, where it had 1 health. Yeah. And he kills you. You get rid of your last cards. And your retaliate didn't work when we really needed it to.
It did on one of them, but it didn't on the second one. So I had a potion that I used to give me retaliate 1. And it hit me. And I did, because I didn't have any cards in my hand, so I had to discard. I had 3 cards in my discard pile, so I had 1 more turn coming. That was it. Like this was the second last turn. So we had 2 priests left. 1 was on 1 health. 1 was on like 3 or 4 health, and they've got 1 shield because we killed all the pillars. And I was like, okay, I'll pop the retaliate thing. I just missed. There was one where I hit it 3 times with poison, and I just needed a +1. I think I crit on the 2 that I attacked with first to give it poison, and then just drew 0s or something like that on the 4 and 3 and 2. But I used the retaliate, had to burn 2 cards to not die, right? Which meant that I did get to retaliate back to him, and he died. But then the other guy hit me, which also would have done a damage, but he did some stupid amount of damage. I'm like, oh, well, I'm just dead.
You just dead.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna paint a last round picture. It's the last round, and by last round I mean Phil has 2 cards left in his hand. I have 2 cards left in my hand. We have no Gaz because he's got no cards left, and we have 1 priest left who's on 4 health. All right, 4, and the monster deck has been reset as well. So this is the last round. Phil and I are going to be doing whatever we can with our last 2 cards, and we have a priest who can go early. And all they do is throw out one of their disarms or something like that. There were a billion things that could go wrong in this.
Yep. And sorry to add one more thing, we knew that you guys both had at least 1 curse in your deck.
Yes.
At least 1 curse was in your deck each, and obviously your misses in there as well.
I'm going to play you something.
I'm going at 13.
Yeah, okay. I'm going at 34. Oh.
Yeah, they could go early, couldn't they?
Yeah.
The good thing is if they go early, they'll disarm you.
Actually, it disarms anything that f***s me. What, how fast?
13.
Oh, gosh.
Just get me down to the last throw of the die.
Like...
Last throw of the die. Come on, you f***ers, don't go before us.
Oh, they're healing.
Oh, God, okay.
Oh, it's healing. That's actually fine.
Because it won't heal anything.
I'm hitting for 6.
Oh. No, but guys, there's lots of misses in these decks. Please, don't be like get all penisy on this.
Alright, so I'm sucking my...
Oh, I hate the fact that you went first in case you miss, because that is on me.
Yeah!
4 XP.
Oh my god.
Hitting for 6.
4 XP and hitting for 6, okay.
Jeez, you saved that one to right at the very
I
end.
was suck at my I'm effectively useless after the shot.
Alright, ready?
Okay.
Ready? This is for the game. This is for the game. He comes through and then dead.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you hear the breathing in that?
Yeah, it was tense. It was really tense because we as you people listening know, we only play once a week. We play in the evenings. There was no chance we had enough time to replay this scenario. And it was one of those ones where if you fall short right at the end, sure you can come back and do it again, but like really, like
it's just so much writing on it from a time point of view, but also we want to be able to put out the episode for that week. The idea of filming of recording an episode of the same scenario 2 weeks in a row or something like that just sounds horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at that stage we just copy paste the podcast, right? And we change the number.
There was just so much writing on that. Phil came through and killed off the last priest, and if he played his curse, if he got cursed or anything like that, or if I got immobilized, or if I got disarmed, and yeah, there was just so much on there. It was unbelievably stressful.
Yeah,
that
it was
pressure.
Good. And I got a video of it as well, so I'll chuck that up onto the Twitter and Instagram, so you can see that draw. It's nowhere near as exciting because he didn't miss, but that's what I was filming for, just to see if we could capture the miss alive and dirt.
Would have been a very funny video. If he missed, it would have been unbelievably
would have been
sad.
Heartbreaking.
Absolutely. I just want to put out, because of the grief that these Algox priests were giving me from turn 1, I rank them higher than snow imps now.
Really?
As things that I hate. I think I just started to hate snow imps from can we stop seeing them point of view? And officially these guys are worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think it was becoming a bit of a meme that snow imps were just in everything. And there was always lots of them, and they do annoying little things like brittle you. But the priests with an immobilize and a disarm, right, have the ability to say you don't get to have your turn. And that's way, way more annoying than anything that well, not more annoying. I guess it's just more tilting. Like,
I was tilted.
Yeah, so
unbelievably tilted. Now that we're here, what were your thoughts on the actual monster types that we got with this scenario, and how did they affect the scenario goal?
Oh, I think it worked perfectly, right? Like, it was an entire scenario about just making its attrition. It was like everything was tanky, so everything had heaps of hit points and heaps of shield, so you get way more value out of your shields, right? Because the Algox guards had 18 health, I think, something like that. So having 3-4 shields on those is ridiculous. The priests, meanwhile, the heal is not even that bad. Like, the heal 1 AoE, everybody is that's 1 HP. Who cares? The 3, I think, is a bit, especially when they heal off poison or wound, and you're like, oh, that's annoying. Or potentially the bane. That's the thing we really worried about. But it's all the other things that they do. Like, them not attacking is fine. Right, like, I'd rather them just attack.
Yeah.
I'd rather them just pull attack. So I think the monster types for this, again, simple monster types, right? We've seen them before. Simple scenario objective. Even the pillars with the shield thing is a simple mechanic, right? But it just changed the entire scenario. And that's what I was saying earlier. I think it was really cool because we all had to try to figure out how we made our classes win, right? It wasn't figure out what the scenario wanted us to do and try and jump through those hoops. It was, how do you get your puzzle, which is your character, and how do you solve the scenario puzzle, which is just the monsters, which was really cool. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. And part of that is because we don't have to play it again. But there's definitely, but I did enjoy the scenario. Something
I like doing is, after we've done a scenario, is checking up what the community thought about the scenario. And look, there's a consensus that it's a very difficult scenario, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. But there's a lot of discussion over playing it at lower play counts. Because imagine if it was maybe the Drifter and you, and the subtle changes that happen, but how the how the scaling difficulty of it isn't really, I don't know, even in a way. When 2 people, right, you still got the 3 pillars in the first room. They've got slightly less health, and you remove one of the priests. That's the first thing. The second room, you remove 1 more pillar.
Yep.
And you lose one of the guards and one of the priests. You've still got 5 creatures in there and 3 pillars.
Yeah, look, I think the game in general changes when you go to a lower player count. Like I'm already noticing having 3, and we're really missing the tankiness and the utility of the Bone Shaper.
Yeah.
Like, I know that if we went up to 4 in that one, we would have ended up with another pillar in the second room.
Yeah.
Maybe some more mobs, or there might have been a lead or something like that. But if we had Calvin's Bone Army running around, that I won't say that one would have been easier, but it definitely would have seemed more manageable, right? Because we had several moments, especially in that second room, where we're like, oh, how do we get out of this one, right? So yeah, I can see that being a real challenge with this scenario is a good example of it. But yeah, the player count thing does come into play a bit.
The player count thing is just, I got me thinking about it, and I was just sort of thinking, if Phil wasn't there and it was you and I, right, and I'm getting entangled, immobilized and disarmed every second round, I struggle to see a world where with those 5 guys running around chasing you when you're hitting those pillars, it just seems so much harder. The scenario's already hard. It just seems borderline impossible.
Yeah, like looking at the way that I guess it's kind of action economy is if you start boiling it down to how things go with lower player counts, right? So if you have 4 people, you get 4 actions, or you get 4 turns, right? So one of them getting disarmed is less bad because you still got 3.
Yeah.
Whereas you lose one of your 2 and you're losing 50%.
Yeah.
And I think that where you can pull the levers and make it probably pretty balanced with lower player counts is with hit points, monsters, and shields and stuff, because that's just pure output, right? Assuming everyone gets to attack and assuming they all attack, you can balance that with hit points and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because that kind of is easy in a sense. It's just you math it, but the stuff you can't account for is like you miss your turn because you got disarmed, right? Like that stuff there is like, oh, okay, wow, that's not like you didn't do much damage, right? That's you just didn't get to do anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would definitely be very, very different. Then again, in saying that, right? Imagine a Bone Shaper in that one with any of the other. If you're playing 2 players, a Bone Shaper and something else, you can use your skeletons and your army to absorb those immobilizers, absorb those disarms.
Definitely. I think the scenarios like this are really good for summons, and having them just as soaks, really. They're a soak mechanic. They just get them in the way because that's something we severely lacked. And I became the soak mechanic. And
well, I think in one turn I burnt all my shield. Like I think I put up my shield buff and then burnt it all in like the next turn.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, cool. I didn't take much damage that turn, but now that's my tanking done.
And like, yeah, I took a ridiculous amount of damage in there. You really didn't need to wound me.
Nah, you're fine. I think I healed you the next turn anyway.
Yeah.
Or you healed yourself or something like that.
Probably. It sounds more like that. I've got a little tiny thing I'm testing right now. It's called Detty's All Australian segment. It's a running All Australian for the monster team that I really would never want to come up against in any kind of random scenario. And I put Snow Imps together with Algox Priests and Oozes. What do you think of that combination? How would you go against fighting that?
So Snow Imps, Algox Priest, and Oozes.
Yeah.
I just think I don't rock up. Right?
Does that not sound the most messed up place ever?
I've picked the scenario and these are the monster types we're coming up against. I'd be like, not feeling it. You guys can just do 2-player.
That is gross.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts on scenario 10?
I think that I'd like to see more scenarios that are in a similar vein, not annoying annoying monsters and tanky pillars, but ones that really allow us to play our characters. Because I felt like there was a lot of decisions to be made, and so I think it was a good change from having lots of different things to try to figure out. So I'm hoping that kind of along the main story line arc that we're going, that we kind of keep encountering that.
Yeah. I think this was, we've lost scenarios before, and then it kind of was like, I understand how this kind of works. I think going into this one, you can go into this one knowing exactly how it works and still find it insanely challenging, which puts
100%.
this as probably our toughest scenario yet.
Yeah, if knowing what's going to happen in this one doesn't really help you
No.
because it's purely on, basically it's what the priests draw.
Yeah. It's 100% on the priest.
The guards are going to move and hit you, right?
On average, they're going to hit you hard every time. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, and so you can play around that, but it's the priests. That's the thing. And if they draw certain combinations of cards, and we've talked about this before, like with the snow speakers in the previous one where we had to protect the pillars. If they draw that refresh, do 2 damage to everything within range 4 card, 2 or 3 times, it's just scenario over.
Yeah.
So, but this with the priest, it's less about one card. They've got a suite of cards, and it's really just depending when they draw them and the order they draw them in.
Yeah. No, right.
So,
all right. Our battle goals. Phil had to kill an enemy with an attack that he's doing that has disadvantage. So
That's right.
yeah, he ran up to something and did a ranged attack in melee range on something and got that.
And then he said, and this is be some interesting thing to pull out on the audio. Is like, did everyone see that? I killed the monster and I had disadvantage. It's
Good
like,
job.
okay, cool.
What do you want on
thumbs
the
up,
ward?
Phil.
Do you want a perk?
Yeah.
For that?
yeah. You moved next to it and attacked it with a ranged attack. So yep, that was why.
Yeah, nice job, Phil. Gaz, you had to never take a long rest.
Yeah, I think that was it. We were
It
trying
was
to
one of the
remember
rest ones.
Yeah, it was either never take a long rest or never take a short rest. I'm pretty sure it was the never take a long rest, which is
I feel like
easy
I was
to-
reaching over and pulling a card from you. Or was Phil?
Probably for me. I rested. The only time I can get myself into trouble with not long resting is if I need to shift. That's it, because that also shifts me. So the no long rest one's not that tricky for me
Okay.
because I've got lots of cards.
Yeah. And I had to take damage when doing a long rest.
Oh, that's right. And you also pointed that out. Oh, no, that was that was hilarious. So, setting the scene for that one, everybody. Hey, Detty is long resting, and there's I think it was one of the priests shot you, I believe, for like 3 damage. And on that, they pulled a -2, probably, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it got down to it only being 1 damage. And Detty's like, yeah, and I'm going to use my shield so I don't take that damage. And then I took no damage. So I took damage whilst long resting. Wait, hang on. I took no damage. Oh, no. I'm not using my shield. So
I
it was
unshielded, so I can take
unshielded,
damage.
Yeah, so you should take the damage. So that
Because
was
I was-
almost a...
I was like, yes, I did my battle goal. I read it word for word out, realized I made a mistake, undid my shield. Just, if I didn't read it out, I would have finished the scenario and then realized. That would have been crap.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
I've got our meters. The meters are very interesting. Okay, so Phil is consistently on the Deathwalker, pumping, absolutely pumping. So he finished with 88. All right, 88 damage, 6 of which were blocked. So he was really smashing those pillars. He wasn't spending a lot of time hitting things with shields on them. So a lot of damage by Phil. 88 minus 6, so 82. I'm just going to stay with damage for now. So you did 59 and 14 of it were blocked. And I finished with 36. Okay. So bit of a difference between the 3 classes in this particular scenario. If I could get close enough to a pillar, I would have. And was holding onto my weapons. I'm not butthurt or anything like that. I was definitely tilted throughout this whole scenario. Damage taken, Phil managed to get away with 9, so he took 9. And there was actually some clutch moments in there where it was like, can you please just take a hit? I'm about to get hit 3 times. Can you just please walk into space? And he did. And it was just super crucial that some of that damage was shared around. So Phil took 9.
And he can actually, as the Deathwalker, can be okay at just a small bit of tanking because he's got a trait or a perk or whatever it's called that if he's standing on a shadow, attacks against him have disadvantage. Yeah. So it's a good way first to be like, hey, can you take a couple of hits, and if you can stand on a shadow, it's usually not that bad.
You took 22 and you mitigated 10, which was very helpful. Very helpful because I took 78 damage and I mitigated 3 of it. And that was 3 instances of me tapping my shield. That is disgusting.
So, yeah, this is probably one of those ones where I know I was applauding the continuous health or forever health or what's it called?
Mm. Oh, continuous
Whatever.
health, I think.
Yeah, continuous health. I was applauding that one as a bit more flexible from a kind of tanking perspective in that category because, you can use it on other people.
Yes.
I feel like when you're taking all the damage, that potentially having +2 shields, like through all of those attacks, again, assuming you can keep it up because, if it drops off, then it's done. But yeah, I feel like that's one of those ones where maybe that would have been better.
Yeah. And out of the damage taken from you and me, you discarded, I can't tell, Phil. You discarded some cards to mitigate. I discarded 5. Right, and 3 of them were in one round, just to mitigate damage towards the end. It was just ridiculous. All right, so there's that. Healing, we had Deathwalker with 8, so his ability one he keeps pumping out. You had 7, and I had 36. So this is cool. This is and this will actually lead to one of the emails we got actually because they were like talking about the stats, and it's handy to there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is just something we've decided to do. But it's handy just to see, oh no, the Drifter didn't do much damage, but he took it. He took it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not really a group that's going to have a dig at someone for not doing much. Like, jokes aside, we talk about Phil not doing anything for 3 turns, 4 turns, half the scenario. That's changed a bit. We had jokes about both of us not doing much in scenarios, but at the end of the day, we're not really like that when we play. So even without the damage meters, I don't think that we would ever be like, oh, you're not really doing much in the scenarios. Like, do you want to pump up your numbers a bit? But it is really fascinating because it's one of the things that I think is really cool at the end of the digital Gloomhaven because you get basically damage meters. You get the damage, your healing, and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of cool knowing, having a look to see where everything is kind of balancing.
Yeah. And you knew that. You can't, you're not going to be number 1 DPS every single time. Or if you are, sorry, there's a reason because you're playing with people who are initiating or controlling, right? The controlling is so underrated. We don't really have any of that.
No. Well, that's why we're hoping for a squishy support with a pet.
That's right. Squishy support with a pet. More on that later. So finished up scenario 10. That is in the book. We've done officially hardest scenario ever and FU Algox priests. So we head back to Frosthaven, Twilight music or whatever it is. Do I retire or do I not? We do our outpost phase and we have our first winter outpost event. Do you remember what this one was?
Yeah. Go fish and get fighting.
Pretty much. Go fish and get fighting. So this was a event that led to our very first outpost attack.
Yeah, attack event. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So we had to learn kind of what was involved, and it's interesting because the actual card gives you a number on there which says, hey, we're hitting you this hard, and sometimes the event, if it's linked to the actual event, decisions you make can actually lower that amount, and then you weigh that up against your actual number of your settlement and any walls that you've got, and then you start dealing with the deck, I don't know what you call it, outpost attack deck. Yeah. And what I find really interesting here is that, well, the soldiers that we've been stockpiling with all our lumber and hide and everything, we started throwing them into the fire.
Oh, we were sacrificing people like there was no tomorrow.
Just to get the advantage, right?
Just to not lose. Yeah, I feel
it's great.
I feel like it's it was kind of cool being able to use some of those resources, and I think this is going to add a lot of pressure to us through the winter events. Like, it's going to almost come to dread coming back to Frosthaven and getting these, because from what I understand, there's a lot of attacks. But what we did, very silly, before the end of summer, was we went and spent all of our resources.
Yeah.
We were like, hey, look at all this stuff we've stockpiled for the winter. Why don't we build heaps of stuff? And we did. And then as we were going through, reading the different building cards, we're like, oh, this stuff's going to be tricky to repair with nothing in Frosthaven.
And look, it's one attack. I think we smashed it. We had to throw a few guys in there, but they're cheap, right? We can just buy them back.
Yeah, that's how it works. One at a time. One thing on the attack, I felt like, and maybe it was just how we approached it. It was late and how we read the rules, but it wasn't super clear how it worked. I know we had to go back and had to look at a couple of things, and I almost feel like if it was a video game that I was waiting for that pop-up tutorial, like, you know, the first time you get attacked, it's like, oh, this is an attack. Look at this value. You need to do this. This is how you work it. But because any of these cards can come up, right? There's not a basic standard first winter event. It was almost like it just had the symbol there, and we're like, symbol there with a number. Oh, okay. I guess we better get the rulebook out now and start reading. So, I wonder if it would benefit from a seeded event being the first winter event. When you talk
you through it.
Yeah, just
like a section one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, something like that, so that you can kind of, it points you towards the rules, or it talks through that, or, because as I know you're going to read the rules at the start, but if you read the winter attack rules, you're not going to know it for 10 weeks or whatever it is.
Before I get emails telling us that there is a section printed on the campaign sheet that we mark off, I don't look after the campaign sheet. Gaz does. I don't see it. I just say to him, hey, do we have a section to read out? He has a look and then says no. And then we move on. There. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, but I mean, other than that, now we know how it works. It's super clear. It's pretty straightforward. It was just
a little bit weird, yeah.
It just felt a bit like, what's this number? What's that? We had to read it 2 or 3 times, working out the order in which they attack.
But the walls were confusing as well, right?
Yeah, the walls were confusing a bit. The focus of which buildings were focused, because it was focus all even numbered buildings, but there was only 4.
Yeah.
And then, just little bits like that. But I mean, now that we know how it works, I'm sure the next time we get attacked, which will probably be the next event, will be fine.
Yep. Because I was heavily relying on this event to work out my uncertain future, I did not retire. So I get to hang around for another week. I signed a 1-week contract extension and I'm hanging around for another week. So
yeah, we're keeping him around week by week.
That's right. We've
got to make sure we pump up those numbers.
So yes, Drifter did not retire, but on that note, been receiving a fair bit of contacts regarding choices, and it seemed to be steering towards one particular class, which is a bit flaky.
Well, for those maybe didn't hear the episode last week, we were talking about what Detty would like in a class, and I think we landed on squishy support. Range support with a pet. Optional pet, yeah. And I feel like all of the correspondence we got were Snowflake.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much. So I'm actually, I mean, other than that, no one levels. I don't think we built anything at the end of that.
I leveled.
Did you level?
Yeah.
Oh, is this the one where you gave us your choices and then you were really disappointed?
Yeah, I was kind of underwhelmed a bit. I think the cards were more normal than they have been previously.
Okay, so let's snapshot this. You're on level 5 or 6 now?
6, I believe.
Right. So your level 6 cards for the Geminate, for Geminate people out there, both underwhelming. Did you pick either of them, or did you go back and pick an earlier?
I honestly can't remember. I think I picked one of them. I won't say underwhelming, as in I think I saw them and I was like, okay, this is okay. But when you get cards that are just kind of like upgrades of other cards, you look through and go, oh, okay, this one is kind of like this other one I've got, but better.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how I've been leveling.
Yeah, well, that doesn't really happen with my class. So
okay.
I think one of them was just a kind of, okay, well, this one can probably replace that card, and that's it. So it wasn't like, oh, cool, I get to do this new thing, or, hey, here's a different style of attack or combination of abilities. It was just kind of this is a slightly better version of that. So, but I can't remember what I picked. So okay. I'll have to have a look when we get back.
Yep. Phil leveled up as well. I think he sounded more excited than you.
He's getting some mega shadow creature or something, right?
Oh, he's getting a pet.
Yeah, he has to eat shadows.
The pet does, or he does? Oh, right.
To use it, he has to eat shadows. But refreshable. Like, what's the right way of saying that? He can use it again, so it doesn't burn when he uses
Okay.
it. So you can play it and then refresh it, and yeah, bring it back.
Love it. So I'm going to go into our Dirtbag. Is that what we're doing? Dirtbag. To just read
Bag
out
of dirt. Bag of dirt.
Bag of dirt. Sure. One of these will stick. Otherwise, it'll just be called bag time. So Iron and Wine, who's emailed me a few times throughout our adventures, thank you so much for reaching out again. He did say that Detty should be picking, a ranged squishy support with a pet equals Snowflake. And I just say, sold, done. So yeah, Iron One's helped out and just told me go for a Snowflake. We got an email from Peter. I believe Peter might be German, from Germany. He didn't specify it, but I think based on his name, and he also runs a solo board gaming podcast in German. So I don't understand German. I did listen to it. And it actually sounds really cool. I just can't understand it. But I will post it in the show notes for anyone who does understand German and might be interested in the solo board gaming aspect of board games.
Yeah,
Peter.
that's like awesome that he's doing that, and I wish that I spoke German or it wasn't in German, because I think that a podcast focusing on solo board games would be really fascinating, because it's not really something that either of us dabble in very much.
No, not at all. But just I was listening to a little bit, and their voices are very smooth. Like, I don't know, there's something really cool. The production, they're wonderful. So Peter actually emailed us and said, "Hi, Detty and Gaz. Just wanted to write to you a short note that I really love your podcast. I play Frosthaven solo, and it's all I think about right now. It's just so good. I always love to listen then to a dedicated podcast only talking about the game I play right now, which is pretty rare. Of course, mostly possible for things like LCGs, like Arkham Horror or Lord of the Rings. So thank you very much. I love the interaction between you, the reports, the agony by rolling terribly, put into words, and all the stats you track. In my digital campaign tracker, I marked scenarios for which you already have an episode, so I can play them before I listen to them. So choose wisely. You have a big responsibility, because I will not be the only one to more or less follow your selection." Sorry, Peter. Detty should probably play the Snowflake. Small feedback on a huge rules mistake. When you enter Frosthaven and do not encounter an attack, you have to draw another outpost event. Just kidding. I remember reading that out during the actual scenario when that happened, and the look on Gaz's face.
Oh God, Peter, you stitched us up so bad. So Detty was reading that out before we started the campaign last week, when we played the scenario, and reading through any pause there as well. And I was just like, I was basically ready to just be like, nah, we're done. Like, seriously, are we seriously that bad that we can't read a rule book? And, but then continued on.
Yeah. Just want to pile on your fear of making rules mistakes. Keep up the great work. P.S. A friend and I do German podcasts. If you understand German, feel free to check it out. Irons and Spiel, solo board gaming. Yep. So I'll pop that in there if anyone's interested.
So you have not helped, just so I want to throw it at you, Peter, you have not helped our irrational fear of making rules mistakes. No. If anything, you've just amplified it. So thanks for that. And now every time someone writes in, which I'll say the same thing I always said, Detty's like, so we, such and such, we got a mail, we got a message. I'm like, oh no. And I'm just racking my brain for the last hour. I was like, how could we have stuffed anything up with that? It was just kill a bunch of dudes. Like, how have we stuffed up that? So... Yeah,
every time you ask me, have we received any emails, I can almost sense this hesitation in your voice when you say it.
Yeah, we
got a few.
I'm both like worried to talk about anything I do with my character, but also I need to in case I'm messing something up majorly. That's right. I'm like, oh, is this okay? Does this work? Am I supposed to be doing this?
That's right. Emmanuel emailed us and just said Snowflake, Snowflake, Snowflake. That's
the best one.
Literally all he said. Dan emailed us and he says, "Hi guys, big fan of the pod. Been listening since the start, and somehow your party is moving at almost the same speed and in the same direction as my party. So I've been able to listen to every podcast without any actual spoilers. Really fun listen. Some people may suggest the trap character, and while that hits almost all of the requirements Detty laid out, there's one major flaw in that playing the trap character is all puzzle. Would it stretch Detty? Absolutely. Would it create some fun podcast moments as we listen to him get frustrated? Absolutely. But the best character for Detty is Snowflake. It hits pretty much everything Detty is looking for, and it even has a pet. And I don't mean a pet in the way you guys refer to all summons as pets. It literally has one summon, which is an animal that the character would keep as an actual pet. I don't know what any of that means. Keep up the great work. I'm a Geminate in my game, and I love hearing how Gaz is playing it as well. Best.
That's awesome. I feel sorry for you and your play group. The fact that you are progressing in the same erratic fashion that we've decided to pick scenarios at. So, I mean, we basically just have a monkey spinning a wheel, and whatever it lands on, that's where we go. So, +2 to chaos, right?
Yeah. Well, we sort of, no one wants to decide where we go, so we just point and just hope for the best.
Yeah. Yep. So,
Mark Hetta has emailed us. Hey guys, cheers from New Zealand. Just wanted to say a huge thanks for your podcast. I listen to you on my 45-minute commute to work and love it. I used to listen to a Gloomhaven podcast called Misadventures, and that eventually came to an end with the group finishing their campaign. There was a Gloomhaven box-sized hole left in my heart for ages. You can understand my excitement when I saw your podcast and jumped in. I'm slowly catching up with the released episodes, so we'll now be patiently waiting for new ones as you go. My partner and I have played through all of Gloomhaven and Jaws of the Lion. Now we are smashing through the Crimson Scales expansion, which is actually pretty awesome. Just side note, I'd love to give that a go at some stage. I just have no idea how I would get it. Crimson Scales is a fan-made, it's a fan-made campaign, I think. So it's good, like top-notch production. I think it was maybe crowdfunded or something. And I think it uses all the rule sets. I don't know much about it. I just know that it's something that's very, very difficult to get.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of the community have been talking about it, and more Haven, more
Haven.
fan-made classes and stuff like that. Sounds awesome. I'm not a spoilerphobe, so don't mind listening to your Frosthaven content ahead of us purchasing the game and starting our own campaign. With my goldfish memory, all spoilers will be forgotten long before we get there. Have a great one, and wishing you many more months of a great campaign. No pressure, but if you keep the motivation to continue with the podcast as you go, I promise I'll listen to every minute of it. Bye, Marquetta.
Oh, that's nice. And yeah, 100%. You will forget everything we said, most likely. And it's probably not really important anyway, because you'll have a better time and probably do it in a lot better fashion than we did. So...
Look, to be honest, we're already forgetting the first couple of weeks of ours, so we could probably.
Well, we were just talking about how we forgot the character. We forgot the character that we met with that was pivotal to the new event that we found. And we're like, oh no, we've totally never met that guy. Like, wait, hang on. Maybe let's have a think about this. So
we're the best mercenaries to come across ever because we have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, just deny everything.
That's right. Finally, Joseph emailed us and just said, hello, loving the podcast and your Frosthaven adventures. I was curious what you use to track all your stats like damage, healing, and stuff. Seems like a lot of work, but yet fascinating. Thanks, Joe. One word, Phil.
So we use a Phil.
We use Phil.
So I think
it doesn't always work.
No, there are still some bugs in it, and so we are constantly getting back to the devs about fixing those things, but you kind of get what you pay for.
Absolutely. So we legit have Phil's gone out of his way to go to Excel and actually pull up like a table document. When we first were tracking everything, I was tracking everything from damage taken, attack damage done, status effects done, healing, looting, everything. And I didn't get to play the game much. So
yes.
It was very annoying going, did you loot something there? How many statuses did you put? How many? Yeah. And look, I'd love to hear all that towards the end, especially if you're a status heavy class, because you want to see how many you put up. But it was too much. So we narrowed it down to...
I guarantee when you pick Snowflake and it's all about status effects, you'd be like, how is this hand-drawn extra column on this DPS meter? That's weird. It says status effects. That's weird that we'd start tracking that all of a sudden. You're like, it seems it's really important, guys.
Well, the problem is the sheet doesn't have Snowflake written on it, so I don't even get to have I don't get my stats tracked. So Phil's actually we've got damage. So anytime any of us do damage, he writes it down and he writes a minus for if any of it's mitigated. Same thing for damage taken. So he's got damage done, damage taken, and then healing. That's it. And pretty much if we do any damage, we just read out what we did, how much we hit for, how much was mitigated, etc. And he just notes it down. And by the end of the session, he just tallies it all up and then hands it to me. And then I don't really look at it. I don't look at it until we're recording. And that's when I sort of pause a bit and I say, it says that I took 2 damage minus 5. What does that mean?
Yeah, and then we quiz Phil on it. It's like, how does this math work? So.
Yeah. And then that's where it's like, I swear Phil healed more than 0. So, it is Phil. It's not the perfect system. There's no app that's tracking everything or anything like that. It's just a piece of paper and a pen, but it works. And it just allows us to.
And Phil does do a great job. Like, it is really handy. Like, seriously, I do 0 work other than just spit numbers at him, and he records like most of it, which is great. So I do really appreciate that, because it does give us more to talk about. And as I said, it kind of gives you a good scope about where everybody landed and kind of how the scenario played out. So, I'd highly recommend getting yourself a Phil.
Yeah. Are we charging for Phil?
We can lend him out, I guess.
Yeah,
rent
Phil
him out.
will head out to anywhere in Melbourne and parts of New Zealand.
Yep, that's it. And do your stats for you.
That's right. To 80% accuracy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, that about wraps up another successful, and it's good to say successful, scenario, and another week of Frosthaven before we jump into. I think we're continuing down this path.
Well, I think that was what we decided to. Yeah, we thought that maybe it's time to do some of these actual storyline missions.
Yeah.
So
I think it's good, and I don't think we'll see any snow imps for a while, which is pretty cool. But we've got Algox family. Be interesting to see what other twists and turns they come, like Algox chambermaid or something like that.
I feel like the ice speaker that we fought is going to become more predominant. Like I remember we fought the Yeti, and then we fought lots of Yetis. Then the Yetis became a monster. Like the Yeti was like the undead corpse Yeti thing.
Yeah.
We fought like one of those, and it was like a boss.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, okay. And then like a few scenarios later, like, no, here's heaps of them.
They were normals almost.
Yeah, they were normals. Yeah.
So we're
So
gonna get a
I
room
feel
full
like
of ice speakers.
yeah, this guy's going to be the normal. He's the boss at the moment, and then we're going to just come across a whole bunch of them. So,
All right, well,
and he's going to be like, "Hey, I've got these friends that you may not have met, and they're called snow imps,
ice shouters and snow imps."
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up there. If you would like to contact us, email us at contact@rollingterribly.com. We're also found on Instagram at am_dirt and Twitter at @amdirt. Thank you all for joining us. I've been Detty. I've been joined again by Gaz.
And remember, when it comes to rolling terribly, it's all in the wrist.
Oh, that's how you do it.
At range 3. So
Okay.
at least when
Oh, let him hit him.
at least when the elite hits me, he'll die.
Unless he kills you.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I've got enough cards to not die. So yes, I use that because I may as well.
Alright.
So what are they doing? They're doing an attack. Attack 4. It's big. Attack 4, range 3. Yeah, okay, I see. Oh, it's just the miss here that fucks us, right?
Yeah, it is. 100%.
Don't miss.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 misses in my deck.
I've only got 2.
Yeah.
Come on.
So it's 2, 4, 5.
5.
7.
7. Okay, alright. That's better. 7.
Come
Oh
on.
no, because the
Nailed
range
it.
2.
Oh,
Oh,
6. Oh, yes.
Oh, Detty, what are you doing? That's so close.
What do you mean I killed it?
I know, but you,
Oh, yeah.
it's like as soon as the red came up, I was just like, oh no, it's the -2 that he never fucking gets rid of.
No, I got rid of that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I did.
Oh, guys, that's the closest we've had.
That's the closest.
Like, absolutely. Because you guys didn't have any cards left, did you?
No, I was thinking. I was done.
It literally came down to the second last turn. The second last person turn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's disgusting.
I don't think I've ever seen one come down to the
Nah,
wall.
not that close. If we never had that, it's always been. Oh, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. Oh, we did it. Oh god. Even still, that I had enough cards to discard to not die to that last hit, so I could retaliate.
Yeah.
I didn't even kill the guy on 1.
I'm actually exhausted
just from dealing with the stress of that.
I know. I
Like-
feel like it's good. It's over.
Yeah,
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 good,
yeah.
it's over.